Hello everyone, I'm Aaron, the manager of Cleethorpes Dragons, and today I'm going to do another tutorial training video thingy. The first one I've done in like forever, but this one comes with an Excel document for you to play with, and there should be a download link either at the bottom of this video or the bottom of the forum post or wherever it is. And if we just go there, I'm just going to open it. You can download it or whatever you want to do. And this is what we get greeted with if we enable editing. Right, so this is our training planner for Goalunited next. Firstly, obviously I suck at Excel and this thing just looks so ugly, but you will have to bear with it. It wasn't my primary concern. Basically the training's gone on the assumption that the more valuable a stat is, the faster it will increase. We pretty much all know this anyway. None of us are 100% sure as to how much it increases in comparison to other ones, but basically I've taken what we 100% know as the bounce of how much each stat provides to the strength of a player, and I'm 95% sure that this same number is also used for training as well. So, and even if it isn't exactly used for training, we know that it is pretty much around that number anyway, because we can see that in the difference between winger training and the bounce that passing has to a winger as opposed to the other players and how their training is done. So we know that is pretty much the case, but I'm 95% sure that that is the case. Also on this calculator I haven't included technique training, and that's because it hasn't officially been confirmed how much training it gives you in comparison to the other training blocks, and so I didn't want to put it in just basically randomly guessing. I'll add it in at a later date when we know for sure. Right, so basically what do we do with this? Right, well, all you have to do is put in the number of small training blocks you use for each tackling, playmaking, passing, striking, shooting, and the same with the large blocks. So let's say you did 4. I know you can't do this, but let's say you did 4 large ones for shooting and 4 small ones for passing. I know you can't do that at the moment, but you can do it in Goalunited next, whenever they finally ever decide to release that. So basically it just tells you the total number of training points you get. They've basically told us that a small training block is worth 20 and a large training block is worth 100 points. That is a fairly irrelevant number. Basically all you need to know is that large ones are worth 5 times more than the small ones. But once you go over 160 training points in a day, then you start to get diminishing returns. That basically means that you get less training for each point put in. So this is what this calculation is here. So we know 160 is 3 small, because they're 20 each, 1 large equals 160. And this calculation down here is just saying, yes, you are getting the full 160. Now say I take that up to 180. We're getting 180, but our effective training is only 165 because we've got diminishing returns from that extra 20, and the diminishing returns will get more and more for each training you go above 160, and that will become important later on. So let's say we take that down to, let's say for a minute we could do 4 and 4. Let's say we only want to worry about our striker training. We want to get our striker training as good as possible. this basically here is a calculation of, with that training plan, how good it is for each position, that training plan that you've put together there. So as you can see down here, we've got massive diminishing returns because we should be getting our actual training is 480, but we're actually only getting 218. So can we basically, what we can do is just play around with training schemes and just basically try and get the number, as the striking number, as high as possible. So let's take that down to 2 and 2. So we've only got 240. Let's put 1 there. Let's just basically see if we can increase that 8,000. And we've gone up to 9,600 straight away. So that training plan is significantly better for strikers, even though you've got less training on your striking. And it's obviously significantly better for midfielders and wingers because, well, it just is. And basically, you can just play around with this, and it will do all the maths for you and tell you how good that training is for each position. But you will very rarely be in a case where you are just thinking about your training for one position. I mean, that bit there is helpful, but this bit here, you basically just put in the number of players you're training for each position in your team. And by this, I don't mean the number of players that you have training in that position, because, for example, you could be training 10 players in total, 7 of them in striking and 3 of them midfielder, but you'll also have 4 midfielders. I don't mean you put 7 in striking. Let's put 7 in striking. You would only put the number of players you actually care about the training for. So if you've got 10 youth, 7 strikers, you're going to put 7 in striking and 3 in midfield, and this basically gives you a training score for those players using that training scheme. And basically you can just play around with the positions of your players and your training schedule, and basically you're just trying to maximise this number, which is basically how good that training scheme is for those players. So let's see what we can do. So we've got 8,800. If we take that down to there and put that onto there, and we broke it. We broke it because we haven't put a 0 in there. That's better. So that goes up to 9,000 already. Let's take that off there and put it onto there, because that seems like that would work. 9,280. And basically you would just carry on with this process until you basically just get the best score you can possibly get. How about try inputting that into there? Can we beat that 9,280? No. It's still better that way round. How about we take that off there? 9,280. 9,347. So there we go. We've improved it again. And literally that's it. You can just figure out what is the best training schedule for the best training schedule in Goalunited next, and basically how effective it is. Now, for the number of players, this won't change if you only got players in one position, as you can see. But it'll only start changing when you have them adding players in from other position, because it's taking an average of the whole training of your team. And if all your players are in one position, then that average is going to be the same. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, one thing to note as well is this doesn't take into consideration the fact that you get less training once you go over 7, because I just thought that was common sense. I don't think anyone who's listening to this video would be stupid enough to have more than 7 players in one position. Another thing to perhaps point out is that you could actually use this probably for your current training, because you can't go above 160 training points anyway in the current scheme. So you can actually probably use this fairly well on current live Goalunited, and still use it pretty effective, and it would still work completely fine, to be honest. Give it a go, see what you think. Thanks for listening. This video was a bit rambling, a bit pointless, but I can't be bothered to re-record it, so I might do an update at some point if people are struggling with it. But yeah, give it a go, let me see what you think, let me know what you think. Goodbye.